everyone, it's me, Sean Capri. Thank you for being here at the Xbox Drive. I'm on a Skype call with my friend Ryan Turford. He's the meteorologist on the Moose. And on our journey today, we've got a trailer coming to you on Tuesday, December 6th for some reason. So jump on into the Xbox Drive. Blah, blah.
No power greater than X.
Hello, Sean Capri. You nailed that intro, by the way.
Just
Nailed
sucking
it.
at life. Just absolutely failing at everything. How are you, Ryan?
I am doing well. How are you? See,
You
look,
think
I
you're doing better
surprised
than
you
me.
this time. I didn't even joke with you about the weather or anything.
Yep. No, I'm doing terrible.
I'm sorry, man.
All good. I can't even do a damn intro for the thing I've been doing for over 6 years. I haven't really even changed it, but here we are. Let's talk about video games, for God's sakes.
Absolutely. I'm actually very excited to talk to you about video games.
We got games to talk about.
For sure. Well, actually, it's a packed show tonight, ladies and gentlemen, because it's not just video games we played for once. We've got a couple of great topics, of course, thanks to y'all's support. And then, of course, we got some news as well we'll get into as well. But before we do all that, Sean, let's clean the garage before it gets all dusty. It's all, like there's cobwebs in there and stuff. We want to get that out of there. Get that out of here. No one likes, dust mites. So folks at home, if you want to support the show, there's a number of awesome ways to do it. Number one, if you're watching the live stream right now, over at youtube.com/carpoolgaming, or if you're watching the video on demand later, don't forget to hit that like button, slightly tap that subscribe button if you haven't tapped it already. And then let us know in the comments below what you think Xbox is going to announce at the Game Awards. Maybe you think they're going to announce, Banjo-Kazooie cross Viva Pinata. That would be pretty cool, right? So let us know in the comments below if you think that's possible. Also, if you're listening on audio feeds, don't forget to, of course, rate us. Maybe leave us a nice review on Apple Podcasts, or you leave us a comment on Spotify. Speaking of Spotify, Sean, I got say a huge shout out to everyone who's been sharing their Spotify Wrapped with us, saying that, of course, Xbox Drive is their favorite podcast out there, or, of course, we're in the top 5. It's always cool to see that from peeps out there. I know Spotify is kind of like one of our platforms that not a lot of our listeners are actually on. In fact, most of our listeners are actually on Apple Podcasts, but it's still been really cool to see all week. But also, if you want one big podcast feed with the entire Carpool Gaming cinematic universe or some exclusive content exclusive, head on over to our Patreon, patreon.com/Carpool Gaming, just like Sting Reacts did over at that exclusive tier, getting the Pants Patreon podcast for Patrons podcast, getting that sweet hangs from last night, get all kinds of great stuff over there on the Patreon. Sean.
Ryan, last night on Sweet Hangs, Donnie and I created the perfect Mario game, and then we woke up this morning and it's not reality, and now I'm sad.
Aw.
It was perfect. It was perfect, and people should listen to it. I know it's as long as 3 hours and 40 minutes. We went the distance, as we tend to on Sweet Hangs. That's a podcast. That's chicken noodle soup for my soul. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. That's just what it's all about.
Well, that was a great way to kind of close out the year for Sweet Hangs as well. Because I know y'all kind of been doing like the shorter shows for Sweet Hangs. So it's good to have like a nice, like almost 4-hour show just because. So.
Did we do a shorter one?
Yeah. Like the one before was like, I was looking on my timeline from
2.5
last time. It was like 2 hours.
Yeah. We got right back to it.
You almost did a double episode this week of Sweet Hangs. The hangs were so sweet, Sean. You just couldn't help it.
They were sweet.
Yeah. Last but not least, of course, I want to promote carpoolgaming.com, where we've got all of our merch, including the Xenobabe t-shirt, which is still on sale until the end of December. So you got till the end of the month, or until we actually decide to take it down from the website in order to purchase it. So head on over there. Of course, if you want a little Bobby hoodie like Sean's wearing, an Xbox Drive t-shirt, we got all kinds of awesome stuff over there. So carpoolgaming.com is the place to go. But anyways, Sean, let's grab our 8 tracks, pop them in. It's time for the playlist, and I'm very excited, John, to hear what you have to say about your games you played this week, because there's one in particular. I'm ready.
Is it First Squadron? Is it First Squadron you want to hear about?
Or
is it Call of Duty Advanced Warfare that you'd like to hear about, Ryan?
Excellent. You didn't even have that one on the design doc, but I knew you were playing that right before the show.
I was just playing it. I was pressing X to pay respects, Ryan.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah. Going on a Jeep drive with Kevin Spacey in his private army.
Yep. Nothing wrong with that.
Nothing troubling about that at all.
Nope.
Oh man, which one do you want to start with? You want to start with First Squadron?
I was gonna say get the filler ones out of the way, because again, I know there's a one you wanted to talk about after.
Yeah. Okay. So First Squadron is an absolute shameless ripoff of Star Fox. It's kind of got like the neon wireframe graphics. You hold the A button to lock on, and you get bonus points for smashing more than one enemy at a time. It's soulless. It doesn't have great music. The missions are short. Like, there's not really much to write home about, other than the fact that someone had the gall to make First Squadron, not Star Fox. There's a character in there, another Fox-like character, or Wolf, maybe one of your teammates. Just like Falco, just like kind of arrogant and cocky and giving you attitude all the time.
Yeah.
So I don't know why I'm playing that, dude. I'm a mess right now.
I mean, it sounds like even though it's not perfect, it's probably like a fun pick up and play distraction.
Yep.
Like, you just pick it up for 5 minutes, put it down.
Palette cleanser.
Yeah.
Which is actually exactly like why I was playing it, because I did finish, Ryan, the Alan Wake remastered. It is completed. Yep. It did come with the DLC that they released for Alan Wake, the Signal and the Writer or something like that.
Yeah, it's like 2 bonus episodes.
Yeah, I didn't play those. I think I'm good. I think I'm done. I need to tell you, I don't understand this ending at all. I sent you a message as I finished the game. It's not a lake, it's an ocean. Like, that was some sort of like grand reveal. Like, what the hell does that mean? I have no clue what's going on. Like, is the wife okay? Is she dead? Like, what's real? I have no idea. But we can dive into this, Ryan, if you like to. Alan Wake remastered.
We could. I don't know if we want to do full spoilers. I mean, the ending is trying to indicate it's trying to indicate that, of course, the problem that's happening there is not just there. It's other places. Like, that's kind of the idea.
That makes sense. Totally makes sense.
But I mean, how did you love some of the enemy designs, like getting attacked by trash cans?
Trash cans, excavators, other large equipment, tables, that kind of thing. Yeah, no, dude, the game is a great length. It couldn't be much longer. I just I think I was good upgrading my flashlight to a heavy duty flashlight to the gigantic lantern, and taking my flare gun and exploding 4 guys at once. That was super fun. But I don't know. Like, I kind of went on a ride with this one because I'm like, man, this is way better than I remember it being. And then as I kind of walk away from it, I'm like, this is kind of exactly how I remember feeling at the end of it. It's a perfectly serviceable, like, fun game. Just like Quantum Break, an absolutely horrendous final quote unquote boss. I don't know if like people don't want to be spoiled.
Oh my God. Yeah, it's ridiculous. It's actually almost as bad as the end boss in Superman Returns for the Xbox 360, which is actually the same enemy type.
Nice.
That you fight in this game.
Yep, that makes sense. So I'm glad I played it, because I we were chatting about it and I wasn't sure, and I just kind of I'm gonna play old games from now on, Ryan.
It's good to find out, Sean, and I'm glad you're playing old games as well, because you don't always need to play the new games, especially if an old game is new to you. Then it's like it's a new.
This one wasn't. I've replayed this one, like none of the above, but I found myself like wanting to play it. Like, I kind of just wanted, and the episodic kind of thing jives with me. Like, I can kind of you'd realize that you'd play for 90 minutes and you'd get some sort of outcome.
Especially too, because like when you get to the end of the episode as well, like if you put it down for a bit and then come back, it then gives you like the clip show and everything.
Totally.
Like, I always appreciated that. It keeps you up to date with the story in case you kind of forget some of the story. Like, if you're not binging the game or something. Yeah, I love that idea. So because you're right. Like, I do feel like this game in particular, it's not nearly as strong as Remedy's other games, but I still appreciate it. I still think there's a lot of great things about it, and it's also one of the reasons why I just appreciate Alan Wake 2 so much more, is because it is just so much better than this game. Like, you can definitely tell, like, you can definitely see like the evolution of this studio between Alan Wake and then Alan Wake 2, and just how far they've come. With the way they design their games.
There were a couple jump scares where it really got me, and I said out loud, "Nice!" Like, I kind of like, okay, you got me, good one. All right, I see what you're doing here. That was fun. Nice. But yeah, like after a while, it just kind of became a bit of a shooting gallery, and like
the combat itself is definitely like one of the like not as strong elements, I think. In that game.
Yeah. But I'm glad I finished it, Ryan. I finished quite a few games this year. None of them are from this year.
No one can take that away from you, Sean. No one can say this year definitively you you didn't beat any games I think you've actually beaten probably more games this year than like any other year
Recent
that you
memory.
and I have done this show together.
Doing the thing. I'm staying focused, man.
Yeah.
Xenoblade. I'm gonna keep playing Xenoblade, but and we can talk about sales later too. But I've got a lot of distractions. I got picked up a bunch of games on sale. Call of Duty was one of them. Advanced Warfare with Kevin Spacey for whatever reason. Dude, that game looks great. I gotta tell you, that game looks really, really good for a 2015 game or whatever it was. Like, it holds up on the graphical front. I'll tell you that much.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, actually, I'll just bring it. I can't see right now. I can't see says with Cyber Week coming to a close. What are some of your favorite deals in the Xbox sale? What are your favorite Xbox hardware deals? The reason why I wanted to bring this up now, number one, because you're talking about the games you just bought on sale, Sean. But number two, last week we actually did the whole episode on that. Like that was kind of like our main topic. So if you want to kind of have our big breakdown of like our favorite things from the sales and our recommendations, like definitely go back and listen to last week's episode.
Yeah.
Because for me, Sean, I didn't really buy anything on sale. I bought one game. I talked about, I mentioned it in the Nintendo Drive chat this week, but I bought Ghost Trick finally, just to please Seth Sturgill because it was $15, and I was like, yes. I mean, I can't argue with getting that game for $15. So as far as Black Friday and Cyber Monday kind of stuff, like the only thing I picked up were like I picked up some physical movies as well that just came in the mail today. I haven't even opened the package yet because I literally just got it before we started the show. But beyond that, like I kind of stayed away from sales because I can't really spend too much money at the moment.
Totally fair. Ryan, thanks to ID at Xbox, who sends us every ID at Xbox game every single week. I redeemed a code for Turok 3 Shadow of Oblivion, which oddly enough, Donnie and I just talked about on Sweet Hangs yesterday. And it is as corny, cheesy, old school as you could possibly imagine. And I can't wait to dive into that maybe a little bit more. Picked up Jurassic Park Classic Games Collection, which you chatted about last week. I've got that. I don't know if I'm gonna jump in, but we'll see. But I did buy Outriders World Slayer, Ryan. That's probably one of the biggest games that I picked up.
Nice.
The main game and the DLC. That was $32 Canadian.
That's awesome. So, again, World Slayer is great. Like I actually really enjoyed that expansion. And the base game as well with that update as well, because they added a lot of quality of life things to the normal game as well. Like I think Outriders World Slayer, like that combined package is pretty good. So
pretty good package. Speaking of good packages, Ryan,
ScheiGuy.
Anthem: Legion of Dawn edition I picked up for $4.
Yeah, but it's on Game Pass.
Who knows how long I'll be on Game Pass? You got to have Anthem, Ryan, for the future and for the archives, for the memories.
It's true because you're right. It might end up being like Marvel's Avengers, where I guess you got to buy it or it disappears. You no longer buy Marvel's Avengers anymore, Sean. It's gone forever.
Oh, I have that. I did pick up that as well. That's probably the most notable stuff. I've picked up a few other kind of like random things. Lara Croft in the Temple of Osiris for $3. Yeah. Dishonored 2 for $4. Kind of stuff like that.
Yeah. As far as the hardware deals, I can't see. Like I think like if you were looking to buy a console, I think now is a pretty good time to get it because it is kind of the lowest it's been since the Series X and Series S came out. I saw actually Series S bundles, Sean, going for like $200 American at some places, which is really interesting. And the best part was there were pictures of people showing the Series S in store, and they bundled a free game with it, a free game on disc,
physical.
Yeah, and it's like strapped to the box. And the best part it was an Xbox Xbox One version of FIFA 22. So without a free upgrade, and it was the physical version.
And you hear about all these, like, what is grandma gonna do when she goes into a store and doesn't understand the difference between this? Like, we should be worried about these retailers. Like, they don't understand what's going on, man. Holy cow.
They really don't. Now, in fairness to the retailer I saw this from, because I think there was a Walmart, they also had attached to the console as well an Xbox gift card. So at least you could go buy. They give you some money.
That
to
doesn't
buy
save
stuff
it
on the store. But
no,
it's
that's
still
ridiculous.
Good luck trying to like look around it, and they're like, oh, where do I put this? And then like trying to jam it on the top where like the grill is, because it kind of looks like a place for it where a CD goes. But
too much, man. You know what the thing though, because I've been maybe in my head thinking like, Oh, it'd be nice to have a second Series X. I could have it right here at my computer, and I could stream from this, and then I could have it plugged in. The other one plugged into my TV. And I did look into these hardware deals, and I was like, this doesn't feel like a deal. And then I remembered why. It's because the price has gone up since the console release, and then they like put it on sale, so it's the same price that I paid at launch. So I'm not falling for that, Xbox. I'm sorry. I'm sure that it's better in the US. I think I'm seeing like 350.
Yeah, 350 for the Series X. Yeah,
I ain't got no three. Well, that's a great deal for US customers, but in Canada and especially for me, gonna pass on that one. I'm gonna be a little bit responsible.
I anticipate we get the bigger sales once we get like the new Xbox announced next year, like the router one that we were talking about,
the leak. Yeah.
Like I imagine that's when we see like the bigger deals on Series X. But
perhaps we'll see. Yeah,
perhaps. Well, Sean, as for me, I played some video games. So true to my word from last week's show, I was lamenting the fact that I had not played Resident Evil 4 Separate Ways yet, starring Ada Wong. I have now played it, and it's pretty fun. It's a pretty fun little piece of DLC. Of course, it's not brand new because the PlayStation 2 version of Resident Evil 4 also had the Separate Ways DLC, and that was kind of their way to be like, get people to double dip on Resident Evil 4 when it came to the PlayStation 2 from the GameCube. And while they did kind of change things around with this one, for the most part, it's following a similar story. But what I liked about Separate Ways was Ada kind of feels like a stealthy character, which of course most other people would probably hate. But I love that because I love stealthy characters because she definitely can't take as many hits as Leon. But she's got a lot of tools, like she has a grappling hook that you can kind of get around the levels a little bit easier. She's also pretty good at taking out the enemies, in stealth, and there's kind of like a big emphasis on that with the level design. So I liked that different approach to Resident Evil 4. So definitely enjoyed going back for that DLC. In fact, I enjoyed it so much, Sean, I then went back and replayed Resident Evil 8 and the Resident Evil 8 DLC, Shadows of Rose, as well. Played them pretty quickly. I mean, I'm at the point, Sean, with Resident Evil 8 where I can beat that game in 4 hours at this point or less. So
what a pro.
Well, I've just played through it a bunch of times. And then Shadows of Rose, I hadn't replayed it since that DLC came out. That also is very good DLC, and I love how it kind of like sets things up for whatever the next game is going to be, because it sounds like, I would imagine, Rose or Chris is the character, the main character we play in Resident Evil 9 whenever that comes out. But yeah, that's pretty cool. And then Sean, finally, after months and months and months of sitting on my Xbox, never being played, I finally booted up Star Wars Jedi Survivor this weekend.
This is interesting because I think this is the next game that I'm going to play, because I also picked this up at the library. It's at Callisto Protocol is just going to have to wait, I think, Ryan. I think Jedi Survivor might be next. And I got to tell you, like, this whole Xenobabe thing that's going on with the Nintendo Drive and the carpool community, like playing games with people, it is fun as all get out. And especially for older games, like anybody can just play whatever the latest thing is. But the thing about that is, Ryan, you will be a flaky son of a gun and just go on to whatever is next. But if you're going, you're going back in the archives a little bit and making a choice about a game, then you're in. You're a little bit more committed, if you will. So how far are you? How far behind am I from you?
So I only started playing on Sunday.
You're
so
done.
I'm not like super far, because I've also been playing another game I'm about to show you in a second that I've left off the dock because it's kind of a surprise for you. But so I've I'm like 4 or 5 hours in.
Okay.
I'm on the first planet still, because like they start you on like a planet that's kind of like the tutorial planet that you go through pretty quickly. So I'm on like the first planet you go to after that.
Okay.
But I'm really enjoying it so far. The combat is actually, I feel, a lot smoother than in the first game, which was also already like pretty good.
Yeah. I just didn't like sliding. I don't want to slide.
Which I do think, like, I've had a couple like annoying traversal moments, but it's definitely a lot less than the first game.
Sure.
Because I've only slid once in my entire playthrough so far, which is good.
Question, Sean from the press pool. For anybody who played the first Jedi game, the ending was excellent. People know about the ending. Very cool. Where does this one pick up? Is it like immediately afterwards? Is it 14 years in the future? Like, what's going on? I can't remember what this is supposed to be about.
As of where I am right now, it has not explained how many years into the future it is, but it is far enough into the future that Cal Kestis now has a beard. And
Okay, so a couple weeks.
Yeah. No, it definitely it feels like it's like, I would say like 4 or 5 years in the future. But
Okay.
again, it's been very cloudy about that so far.
Okay.
But I'm enjoying the story so far. In fact, you've only really had new characters so far, so I've liked kind of the new characters that you kind of pair up with.
Yep.
I also like the fact that at the start of the game, you actually have all the different saber stances unlocked, so they didn't take that away from you. So you have the single lightsaber, the double bladed lightsaber, or 2 lightsabers available from the start of the game, which I think is actually a solid choice. So you can kind of like jump between all 3 of them, but you have to kind of relearn all your force powers again, which is kind of annoying. But so far good with this game. Like, I'm also glad I waited, because I know people talked about performance issues with this game when it first came out. That's all been patched. So if you play it on performance, plays it on 60 frames, although it's kind of jarring a little bit, Sean, with the cutscenes, because the cutscenes run at 24 frames a second, but the rest of the game runs at 60.
Filmic.
Right. So while they are very cinematic, it's like when it transitions from the cutscene to the gameplay, it's seamless, but it stutters a bit and it looks kind of awkward.
Interesting.
But it's switching because it's speeding up the frame rate or slowing down the frame rate. So it's it can like, it almost like stop motion for like a couple seconds there in transition.
Oh, well, I'll watch out for that. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, it's probably I would imagine it's probably a much smoother transition if you played on 30.
How long is this game? How long to beat? This is I feel like this is a bigger game. Jedi Survivor.
I would say, like, if I had to guess, probably 20 or 30 hours.
That's a good Ryan. Main story, 20 hours. Main plus sides, 33 hours. All styles, 32, it says. Completionist is 54. So you nailed it. Yeah. Nice one.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of how long the first one was. And I was expecting something similar with this one. But
nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm excited to play more. Like,
what's next for me?
Nice. And then we can talk about it together. I'm excited to talk about it. At
Done.
Some point. I know Court also really liked this game. He's, I think, the only one at Carpool who's really played this game. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting to talk about it. But anyways, Sean, the last thing I wanted to surprise you with, I've been playing a little game on my lunch breaks and then sometimes in bed, because it's not an Xbox game, but I'll mention it really quickly. I've been playing this game.
No way. Are you really?
Yeah. And for the audio listeners at home who can't see the video of Sean freaking out, I am playing Xenoblade Chronicles 3 on my Switch.
Oh, that's
on my lunch breaks. But it's been specifically relegated to lunch breaks or at work or like before I go to bed at night.
That's kind of my gosh, dude. That oh my god,
I mean, I need to make it fair to the rest of y'all, because otherwise I'll catch up too quickly if I were to play it outside of those times.
Where are you? This is amazing.
I'm only like 3 hours in.
Yeah.
Not that far.
Oh man, that is so awesome. Well, we're happy to have you, man. Being a Xenobabe is a state of mind. Welcome to the Xenobabes Club. That is the best, man. I love that.
Like, you got me eventually, Sean. It's because it's something you talked about just like a little bit ago, where it's like playing other games, even if they're older, while other people are playing them and talking about them, is really fun. And I was like, well, I don't want to miss out on this.
Wow.
So, yeah. And people said it would never happen. I said it was never going to happen. And turns out it's happening.
What happened? How did this happen?
I was just bored on my lunch break one day and I had my Switch with me and I was like, you know what? I could replay Metroid Prime Remastered for the 3rd time this year, or I could pick up Xenoblade Chronicles and just play that.
Oh,
and
what
decided to go with it.
I love it. I love it. That is so good.
Plus, nice, I have to get rid of it before I sell my copy of Xenoblade Chronicles.
What?
Sean.
No.
Like, it's on the list of things to sell in this house.
Sean. Oh, Ryan. Oh, that's too bad.
It's the way it is. So I got to finish it before then. That's the only caveat. But enough about me. Sean, we got to grab our cruise control topic of the week. The first one, anyways, this was submitted by Yarden last week, but we just didn't have time for it on last week's show. So we wanted to kind of delay it to this week. So, of course, to remind everyone at home, Yarden asks, if you don't mind, I'm going to steal from the Nintendo Drive and ask this. You two are in charge of making a holiday gift basket for Big Daddy Phil Spencer. What are you putting in it? Suggesting this does not have to be only games. Maybe pick a game, a comic book, and a soundtrack to include. So that's actually what we did. Is Sean and I have picked a game, a comic book, and a soundtrack that we are going to gift to Phil Spencer. We didn't really put like a cost reduction on it because, the idea of having it, just be limited to those 3 things, it's fine. Is it enough of a reduction as it is,
Agreed.
Sean?
Yeah.
So, would you like to unveil yours first, or would you like me to go first?
Why don't we do one item each and go back and forth that way? Like
Sure.
you can start with the soundtrack or the game or whatever you want.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna start with the
Do you have a
game.
theme? Do you have a theme of your gift basket to fill?
So my theme is Phil and I. Phil and I, bros forever. That's my theme.
Yeah.
Because
Okay.
I want Phil. I specifically designed it so that I'm giving a gift to Phil that I know Phil's gonna like, a gift that I want Phil to play so that I know that so he knows me, and then of course just something new that maybe Phil's never experienced before. That's kind of that's kind of the theme behind mine.
Okay. Okay. Where do you want to start?
I'm going to start with the game because the game kind of represents me a little bit in this equation. It's also one of those things too where I'm like, you know what, Phil, I need to remind you that this game actually exists so that maybe we can get something more like this in the future. Because, it's not a new game, Sean. I'm not getting Phil Spencer a new game because I've seen, I in fact actually went and looked at Phil's game list when coming up with this idea, because of course Phil Spencer's on my Xbox friend list, Sean. And I decided to actually gift him a copy of Ninja Gaiden Black on the original Xbox. Now, the best part about this, Sean, of course, it is Series X and 1X like upgradable with
amazing.
Like it plays in 4K, 60 frames per second, with all kinds of improved visuals, both to the cinematics and the textures. This game looks amazing. It looks like a brand new game when you play it on Series X or 1X. But it's also important for me to give this to Phil to be like, hey, Phil, this series was exclusive to Xbox before, and it was awesome. And we need more of this.
Yep.
We need more of this, more like Japanese style awesome franchises that are exclusive to Xbox, or at least like Xbox first kind of thing. So that is my sneaky way of like sneaking that into the basket. So that's to represent me in this equation, is my game, Ninja Gaiden Black. It's also one of my favorite games of all time. It's like my top 5 favorite game of all time.
Solid pick, Ryan. I approve. And you have stumbled upon my theme, which maybe I'll be a little bit more aggressive with, which is, hey, Phil, these are gifts that you need to pay attention. You need to wake up. I know you're doing cloud stuff and showing up on podcasts and talking to Jez Corden and doing all these things, but we need you to focus on these 3 things, these 3 items I'm going to gift to you, which I give with my heart, but I want you to think about it real hard. You know what I'm saying, Ryan Turford?
Absolutely.
Does that make sense?
That makes sense.
What I'm after here.
I mean, to be fair, you could kind of see that with my theme a little bit too. Although
totally,
you'll laugh when I get to the comic book, Sean. I'm excited about that.
All right, Ryan, I'm also going with an older game from Epic Mega Games, designed by Cliffy B. Not what you're thinking of.
Oh,
we're going Unreal. We're going with the original Unreal, with which birthed Unreal Championship. The reason I'm going with this is because I was thinking about something like The Last of Us. I was thinking of something like God of War, to have them like kick them into gear, making us like a cinematic, story-driven, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, no, I don't want to go in that direction. You know what direction I want to go in? I want Xbox to create like an engine that is like the Unreal Engine, that is so next level, and it just goes everywhere, and let it develop it. Let them do something like that. And then throw the next generation of first-person shooter on this thing. Like, just show us what the Series X is possible. Let's see 4K 120, just ridiculousness, driven from Xbox. And you know what? Put Cliffy B in charge of it, Ryan. So
sure, why not?
He can play that original Unreal game. A whole bunch of engine stuff coming out of this. You got Unreal Tournament coming out of this thing. Unreal is such a good game. So, hey, Phil, Merry Christmas, you son of a bitch.
Jesus, that's really aggressive, but also that's an Unreal selection, Sean. I approve.
It's a good game.
Of that one.
Yeah,
that's a
great box art.
Really good pick. Also, you brought up an interesting point, because like it used to be like that with the id Tech engine.
That's what I'm saying.
That used to be like kind of like the competitor to Unreal.
That's exactly what I'm saying. The Quake engine was on everything, dude. So like, let's bring it back. There's something to that. And I'm not talking about no like Frostbite situation here, where it doesn't have like a save mechanic that you can't make an RPG game on this thing because it's built for dice game. Like, none of that garbage. Like an actual good engine that can be usable. That's what I'm saying, Ryan.
Actual factual, Sean. Actual factual.
I got a little sweaty talking about this.
Oh my god. Well, Sean, next up, I'm gonna do the soundtrack next because
Okay.
I trust me, I want to save this comic for last. It's gonna be great.
Okay,
But,
same. Yeah, no, I'm the
this
same.
one also is my gift to Phil because it's a gift that I feel like it hits close to Phil's heart because it's actually a franchise that I know that Phil actually really likes, and he probably doesn't have this soundtrack.
Yeah.
I'm talking about the Hexen soundtrack.
Oh, wow.
Hexen Beyond Heretic, of course. This was a first-person shooter in the 90s, made by id, but published by Activision. It was actually like a medieval first-person shooter. And the soundtrack's really cool, just like every id game soundtrack was back then.
Yeah.
It's got total 90s cheesy rock in all the best ways. But
Nice.
it's a great soundtrack. You get it on vinyl, and it's pretty sweet. So that's the vinyl version of the Hexen soundtrack is the soundtrack I'm giving to Phil because I feel like that goes straight to his heart because I know Phil's actually a fan of the Hexen because he wore the Hexen shirt on stage, and when he talked about it afterwards, I was like, yeah, we're not working on anything Hexen related. I just really like Hexen. So just shouting out Phil's t-shirt.
I like it. Good answer, Ryan. Good answer.
Good answer.
All right. Well, if you're getting Phil a vinyl, Ryan, the soundtrack that I am going to be handing over to Phil is going to be on none other than a Zune audio device.
God.
I'm giving Phil a Zune, and I was actually thinking about the Xenoblade soundtrack. I was thinking about like giving that to him, but you've already brought up Xenoblade, and I can maybe just dump that into people's brains and move on to something else and keep on my aggressive gift giving because I was thinking Xenoblade, like to your point. Bring us some like Japanese wonderful anime, like more of that stuff, please. Like go partner with like Bandai Namco or something. Give us Tales of Arise exclusive. Then the sequel should be exclusive. Things like that. And total nonsense. But I won't say that, Ryan. I'll get aggressive again. Okay. So on this Zune is going to be the soundtracks for Ori and the Blind Forest and Ori and the Will of the Wisps to remind Phil, what are you doing? What are you letting these Moon Studios leave? You got Remedy Studios leave. You got all these people. You got all these great teams, these great games, and they slip through your fingers, Phil. Come on, man. You can't be doing that. So I've got a Zune reminding him of this, and I can't even remember the first thing I gave him. So I'm just keeping on the aggressiveness.
Preach, Sean.
Yes.
Preach.
What are you doing?
Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. We heard about a bunch of stuff with Moon Studios after.
Don't care.
So it's just like, I can understand why they might want to let them go, but like letting Remedy go, like, what were you thinking with that?
Seriously. Yeah. Not a good move.
Well, I mean, that was still, and I can't fault Phil for that. That's still the Don Matrick era when they let Remedy go.
Get him back. Come on, Phil. Yeah. They're working with like Private Division or whoever. Like you can compete with Private Division.
I mean, they work with Epic.
Or 505. Who is it?
Epic.
Oh, you can compete with them too.
Yeah. I'm sure they have more. Well, they actually do have more money than Epic. What am I saying? But that's a good one, Sean. But comic book, Sean. This is interesting because, as you know, I don't really read comic books, so it's tough for me to come up with a comic suggestion. But I don't know if you've heard of this invention called manga, Sean, or manga, as some people refer to it as.
Yep.
Of course, Japanese comic books, as you will. So I have a selection from my personal manga archives.
I'm such an idiot, dude. I just realized manga is Make America Ninja Gaiden again.
I mean, I didn't realize that either until just now, but
that's what it is.
What is this show anymore?
We need a red hat. Make America Ninja Gaiden again.
I kind of just want Seth to just come over here.
You hate me so much, and I don't blame you.
Instead. Anyways, so getting back to my story. So I, of course, decided to pull out a manga that I don't think he's read. It's the Quintessential Quintuplets, Sean. Now, this is actually a romance manga. It's about a high school kid named Futaro, and he's a tutor. And he's like going to school. He's at the top of his class. But his family's really poor, and his family really needs money. So he needs to go and make money somehow. So he gets this tutoring job to teach 5 quintuplets, and they're like the dumbest quintuplets out there, where they're getting zeros on tests because they don't know how to do anything right, because that's just this thing. So it's this romantic comedy about this guy, and he's tutoring these 5 quintuplets, and the struggles that come along with trying to tutor them. But the kick is, Sean, is that at the beginning they reveal, like, in the future he actually ends up marrying one of the 5 of them.
Of course.
And since they're quintuplets, they all look very similar. So they show the person you see him marrying, but it's like you can't tell who that is because they all look the same. So it's kind of like also there's like mystery you're trying to build throughout the different volumes to see who he's gonna marry at the end. But I wanted to also give him as a recommendation as well to maybe open up the ideas a little bit, to be like, you know what, maybe we don't need every game to be a first person shooter or a third person shooter to be successful. Maybe we're gonna have like a lot of like lifestyle games. Maybe look at what Nintendo is doing with something like Animal Crossing, or look at what EA is doing with something like The Sims, and maybe do, you know, something in that direction, like do like a lifestyle game that appeals to a lot of different people. I think that's an interesting idea. So I wanted to plant that seed a little bit with the quintessential quintuplets, of course, Sean.
That's
13
a great
volumes
answer
as well, easy to get into. And a great way to get into manga. So there you go.
Good answer, Ryan. And what a pick. Quintessential. And I bet, you know what? I bet Phil would love that. I bet that'd be a real page turner for Phil.
And then maybe at that point, you know, if he doesn't want to pick up the novels, he can go binge watch the whole show on the Xbox store or on Crunchyroll. It's all there.
Man, we're about to have some Crunchyroll conversations, Ryan. Are you good if I that's a good answer. Are you good if I go ahead?
Yeah, absolutely.
Comic? I did just run over and grab this off the shelf, Ryan. This is a Canadian-inspired, Canadian-made comic by none other than Todd McFarlane.
Ooh.
And Ryan, Sony and PlayStation, they got Spider-Man, they got Wolverine. Everybody gets Batman and whatever the hell Rocksteady's doing next. But Xbox will be the home of Spawn. He's going to read Spawn, even just the first. He's going to just read the first issue here, Ryan, and he's gonna call up John Leguizamo to be that weird clown dude and just be the voice in this thing.
I like the fact that you refer to John Leguizamo's character as the weird clown dude when in fact his name is Clown. Like literally just Clown. That's just his name. Also, I'm very surprised you didn't pair this with the Xbox version of Soul Calibur as your game to sell me even more on it, because that would be, because you know it's Spawn, and then your soundtrack actually could have been the movie soundtrack to the hit movie Spawn, or just pick a random Spawn video game soundtrack, like the Dreamcast one or something.
I just want, like, really between Unreal and Spawn, I kind of want like a little more like just let's go hardcore again. You know, we got Grounded and that's cool, and Starfield and that's great and everything. Like, where's the dark stuff? Where's the stuff that like makes you go like, holy crap, I can't believe I'm playing this. Like push the boundaries a little bit here, you know, like make me feel something. Hellblade's gonna do that, but more. Please, Spawn, it can do it. I think this would be great. A Spawn game, a Spawn series exclusive to Xbox would be incredible. Right. So, but also read the comic.
It'll also be pretty cool. Yeah, because we haven't, like, a Spawn video game should be cool. It should be a great idea. And I'm surprised, like, that idea kind of died off with the Dreamcast, because that was, I think, the last Spawn game we got was on the Dreamcast. So it'd be interesting to see new Spawn games and what that would even look like, because that'd be pretty cool.
You know what?
And that movie's
Cliffy B with Todd McFarlane. That's the dream team right there.
For sure. Because we know also that there's a Spawn movie coming out soon. Like, I think in the next year or two at this point. So time it with the movie if you really want to. But
let's do it. That's
Sean.
That's my aggressive gift giving, Ryan.
I appreciate you. I think your gift pass is pretty good. Even if you weren't aggressive about it, I still think those are like three. Those are good.
Gifts. Yeah, I think they're good. Especially the Zune.
I mean, everyone loves a good Zune, Sean.
Yeah.
Let me re-roll. But let's slide once again into cruise control, but in a different gear this time. Because Kevin Ainsworth brings up a topic that, you know, I actually expected we were going to talk about, even if Kevin didn't bring it up. So Kevin asks, what is going to be the biggest announcement at the Game Awards, and why is it the Hellblade 2 release date? So a couple notes before we go into this. Number one, last year Xbox was a complete no-show. So I was originally thinking we might not get them at all at the Game Awards this year. But Xbox came out and said, hey, look, watch out for the Game Awards this year, because expect multiple announcements at the Game Awards from us.
Yeah.
So
multiple. Okay.
I'm expecting some stuff from there. Maybe the Hellblade release date, maybe some other stuff. Also, we've got Sarah Bond out there teasing Xbox 360 stuff for some reason.
Yeah, what is that? She's got the logo like thrown up there. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay.
We also in conjunction with this, we also got an announcement that a Halo Infinite has a big new trailer coming up on Monday. So the same week. So it's just like things are happening right now, Sean. So I think that the Game Awards might have some good announcements for Xbox. And we've gotten, you know, in years past at the Game Awards, like Game Pass announcements at,
Yep.
at the Game Awards during like the pre-show,
Yep.
and then they announced something bigger during the main show itself. So
Ooh.
they might go back to something like that again. So
Okay.
I'm curious to know, Sean, what do you think about this? What do you think Xbox is going to announce at the Game Awards, if anything?
You got my blood pumping here a little bit, Ryan. You got me waking up here because like I was chatting with Donnie last night going like, I don't know what's going on with Xbox and I don't know like what my care level is. And all of a sudden you start teasing me with some of this stuff. And it's like, yeah, let's go. Like time to get into gear, Phil, get that Zune and just pump up the volume and let's go, man. This Halo thing, I want to talk about this Halo thing, whether it's at Game Awards, like again, or if the only thing is that we get this trailer, which has been done in the style of the GTA 6 thing. And everybody's going crazy with this graphic and really revealing their own things. I need this from Halo, okay? What I get from Halo right now, you can tell me if I'm wrong, is an update happens and Clobriel or whatever the Conquer icon on Twitter tweets out a bunch of stuff and says, this mode is coming and bullet point this. And it's like, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what any of these modes are that you guys are all excited about. I need to see it. I need to be convinced and persuaded and presented in that kind of way that like Halo's worth playing again. It's the bullet points aren't doing it for me. The patch notes never do it for me. Show me why I should care about Halo. So give that to me on the trailer and let Halo show up in a big way at the Game Awards, because I'll tell you what, like we've spent, and the royal we have spent most of the year writing Halo Infinite off completely. So it's in a great place to be able to surprise and delight us, Ryan. Maybe I'll start with Halo if that's okay.
Yeah, for sure. In fact, I also anticipate like this trailer is probably not like anything super huge. We already have heard from the team that DLC plans have been kind of shelved at this point as far as, single player stuff. So I'm not anticipating that this is a single player thing as much as I would love that. Like I'm also expecting that this is like a new season
battle royale
with like an actual trailer. But maybe it's the battle royale thing too, because we know like Certain Affinity's working on that thing.
Could be battle royale. I'm gonna
Yeah.
create hype that is totally unfounded. It's battle royale. I'm pumped about that. That'd be cool.
Yeah, because that'd be an interesting thing where it's like they tease something on Monday and then like the Game Awards is where like they have like a big kind of reveal for whatever it is. I think that'd be cool.
That'd be all right.
Yeah, because what better way to get that that information in front of you if you've got a very visual trailer than the Game Awards where just so many people are watching. Like, I think that's a good idea. So yeah, I'm interested to see what this Halo trailer is. But as far as the Game Awards, Kevin, I actually am doubtful we're actually going to get Hellblade's release date. If it gets a trailer at all, it'll probably be like the closest we get will be like Q3 or Q4 2024. Because I'm expecting like if that game comes out next year, it'll be at the tail end of next year. So I don't think they're going to throw a date on it per se. But I do think it's actually more likely that we get a release date for Avowed, because I feel like that game's probably much further along. People like these medieval role-playing games like that Baldur's Gate, that Starfield. So, I think I know it's not a medieval role-playing game, but it's Elder Scrolls style. You know what I mean? You know what I'm going for there. So I think like that's like maybe like the most likely thing, because I think that game already from what we saw over the summer looks like that's probably going to be their earliest release of the year is Avowed. So I imagine we get like the release date for like mid-March for Avowed. But what do you think about that?
Well, I think you're onto something, and I can't see is picking up on this as well, saying probably setting up Q1. That's kind of like, I don't know if this is necessarily like a prediction, but more of like what I need to be excited about this. Like I kind of need them to have something within the next, I don't know, like 6 to 8 weeks. Like a first party, like kind of like drop it on us. And then maybe that can leave us some room for like a February Xbox Direct or whatever you want to call it. And that can like set up the rest of the year, but just give us a little taste. Cause do we know anything of like I don't know if we have any dates for Xbox games.
No dates.
So give us a date.
We only know the games that are labeled specifically with 2024, but that's it.
So we got Avowed, we got Hellblade.
Yeah.
What else?
That's it so far.
Yeah.
Fable doesn't have an actual date yet. Perfect Dark doesn't.
Perfect Dark's never coming out.
But I mean, those are like years away at this point. But
I think I was about to say something about console, but I think that Xbox and Nintendo, I said it on Sweet Hangs last night as well. Nintendo's going to sell as many Switches as they possibly can.
Yep.
And then very, very early next year, they'll say, hey, the next Switch is coming in some sort of way. I described it very cool on Sweet Hangs, so people should check that out.
Yeah.
So I was about to say Xbox is going to tease some sort of like console at the Game Awards, but that makes zero sense for that to happen. They're going to sell $350 Xbox Series X's for the rest of December, and that'll be that.
Yeah, I imagine like that next console will get announced like probably at this either at the summer showcase or just before it in like an Xbox post. Like they're probably because it's not like a revision where they're going to be changing the actual specs of it. It just sounds like it's gonna be like a almost like the PlayStation Slim, which didn't need to be announced at a press conference or anything like that. So I would imagine something similar what happens with Xbox, where even though we got the Series X announcement at Game Awards, I don't think that's happening this time either.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right. Like I think they need to set up like the first, even just the first half of the year if they don't have something in Q1 for some reason. But about for sure, because I'm pretty sure that's gonna be like their earliest release next year.
Yeah, I can't see Stalker 2. Like Stalker 2 is coming, and there's a few of us who I think are excited about it. I feel like Xbox needs to swing harder than that, even not to take anything away from Stalker 2. Like I hope everybody knows what I mean by that. Like that's not it.
I actually think it's more likely that we actually get an announcement of a big game at this show that's coming to Game Pass day and date.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like their big swing in a lot of ways. Beyond,
you can see Indiana Jones.
Yeah. That's true. I guess it just depends on when Indiana Jones is coming out, because we haven't heard anything about that game at all. Like they basically been radio silent since they announced it like 3 years ago. So
yeah, I don't know. Like Halo would be great. And this is something just for me personally. I'm not saying that this would like save Xbox or like turn the tides or anything, but like give me some cool new modes for Forza Motorsport or Forza Horizon. Like bring me back to those games. I think that would be kind of interesting. Mentioned this on Sweet Hangs as well. Some sort of remaster or collection for Gears. I think that would be good. Like I'm starting to think about things that are easy for them to do, not necessarily like, oh, and all of a sudden this game that is so far off is ready. Like that's a tall order, but they could whip up a little something. Yarden says Baldur's Gate 3 on Game Pass. That would be huge. And I think that's realistic.
I doubt that one. Because...
Sorry, I mean on Xbox would be realistic. Maybe in a Game Pass, probably unrealistic. But
yeah, I was just going to say
and date. Yeah,
Game Pass for sure. It will not be in Game Pass because Larian knows they will make too much money to put it on Game Pass, or the check that Xbox would have to write to for that would be so extraordinary that, I mean, they could, but it would be too much money. I think.
The time to make that bet has passed, man.
Yeah.
What about Cyberpunk though? Maybe Cyberpunk finally comes to Game Pass.
It could. That may be one of the things. Maybe Cyberpunk does come to Game Pass.
That'd be amazing.
That might be a thing at this point. But also, I think that's in the same camp where it's actually making too much money right now to actually, justify it coming to Game Pass. But for sure, like Baldur's Gate, I think I think we all know it's going to come out that day. Like it's going to shadow drop that night. So
Cyberpunk would be huge. That'd be a big moment. It'd be a big moment.
Yeah. As far as, going back to Sarah Bond's tease, Sean, I know that they already said we won't get Activision stuff this year.
I know.
But I really think that maybe they might have something Xbox 360 related, Activision related, that'll just be in Game Pass. Maybe Call of Duty, game like Xbox 360 games on Game Pass. Maybe some other games that are pulled from the archives that are not backwards compatible currently. Like I think that might be like a good like pre-show announcement, like something like that.
Oh no, that'd be a good drop. I think at the show, I think that'd be all right.
No, but that's what I mean. Like they probably have that during the pre-show with their big announcement during the main show, kind of thing.
It's worth noting as well, if people are listening to this and they enjoy like us talking about the Game Awards, we're not streaming it on Twitch or YouTube, but we are watching, sort of like doing a watch along in the Discord. So you can come and go as you please. We can chat. You can like. None of us are going to be like on, so you can control the volume much better than you would be able to if you're watching somebody stream it. Like you can turn us down all the way if all you want to do is like listen to the stream itself. So we'll be hanging out that's already next week.
That's already next week. That's on the 7th. So we're literally like 6 days away at this point.
There you go. The countdown to the Keeleys. We're here. Speaking of Canadians.
It's on at this point. But yeah, I'm excited, Sean. I'm excited to watch the Game Awards with everyone. Thank you for bringing that up, because I totally forgot to bring it up when we started this topic. But anything about any other predictions for what we might see, Sean, before we move on to the carpool?
We could get a controller.
Yeah, well, that's true, because we know that redesign one is happening at some point, right? So,
yeah,
Yeah, we might see that.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I want to keep my expectations low, honestly.
Yeah.
Because to your point, last year they had nothing. So, but it's like, man, they revealed the Series X there. I can never forget that. I'll remember for as long as I live. Like, they're watching that trailer, going like, "Oh snap, this is a console!" Like, because we're trying to figure out, like, every time a new trailer goes on, this is something that Matt Swinsky and I always do. We're like, "What is this?" Like, you're trying to figure out, like, trying to look for hints. And that one, it's like, oh, it looked like Halo, and then it was Forza, and then it was something. It's like, oh snap, this is the next Xbox. Like, what a hype moment. So that was great for that point in time, but it sets the bar so high for the Game Awards and for Xbox to like kind of match that.
Yeah.
And last year was a disappointment if you compare it to that bar. So yeah, let's see what Uncle Phil's got in store for us.
Yeah, I just think that last year they just weren't ready to talk about the stuff for this year yet, which makes perfect sense why they weren't there. Whereas I do think because they're going to have stuff in quarter one and quarter two, like I think that's why we're going to see them at the Game Awards this year. Like I'm fairly certain we're going to see Avowed there. I would be very surprised if it was anything else besides that. Hellblade 2 maybe, but I still think that's probably end of the year next year.
Yeah.
Anyway, Sean, let's let some of our friends into the car with us. It is time for the carpool. So we're going to start with Cwaggy, who says there was an article out this week about Xbox choosing not to report console numbers because it's not their priority, where basically increasing their product sales is. Do you think Xbox will leave the console market and push support to other existing consoles, cloud, etc. in the next 10 years? Now, this couples with this Windows Central article, Sean, that you sent me earlier with Phil talking to Jez Corden about some stuff and him, Vietnamese saying they're not bringing Xbox Game Pass to PlayStation or Nintendo, because that was something that people talked about a lot when this article came out. So I don't necessarily think that that's the plan, but I'm curious to know what you think about this question.
Well, I think if you couple all that information as well with, I think it was in that article, he's talking about working with partners to create like a mobile store.
Yeah.
That is interesting to me. But the short answer to this question is the Xbox console isn't going anywhere anytime soon. The 10 years is an interesting one. It is very difficult to kind of forecast and predict into the future that far ahead. But I don't think that saying something isn't a priority and meaning that you're going to get out of that kind of industry altogether, I don't think that's the same thing at all. I unfortunately think that it's all a bunch of BS anyways. The fact that they don't report consoles is because they're not selling as many. It's as simple as that. Because if he alludes to, what they are focused on is this and this and this, which is Game Pass, which they also aren't reporting numbers on. So they report numbers when they're good and they don't report numbers when they're not good. That's it. It has nothing to do with anything else. It has nothing to do with priorities. It's a media trained way to dodge the question, is what I think of that, Ryan Turford.
Yeah, it makes sense. Yeah, I mean, because they know they almost don't have to report numbers in a lot of ways. Like,
well, what does it do for them? Like it exactly. Does zero. Yeah.
Like they could just be like, yeah, things are going well to the investors, and it is what it is. Like they're not really like we're not seeing the Microsoft stock price tank because they're not giving up sales or anything like that. I don't think that's their game at all. And I know you and Donnie talked about this on Sweet Hangs, and it was a perfect way of segueing it. Like Xbox makes the consoles as a gateway to Game Pass, so that they have a product on the shelf that then they can advertise Game Pass as much as they want to on it to then get people into Game Pass. Like that's the main reason they make the console at this point still, I would imagine, or why they will continue to make it into the future. So to your point, John, I don't think the consoles go anywhere at this point. I would be very surprised. 10 years, obviously a lot can change in anything in tech at this point. But I mean, it's a pretty safe bet to say that they will continue to make consoles even in 10 years. Although, I mean, the console landscape in the next 10 years is totally going to shift anyways, where there's a chance that no one's making consoles because your console might be just being your TV in 10 years with the way things are going.
Yeah. Like what the console is even, I think is going to change.
Yeah.
Right. Like, does it have all the hardware inside of it? Is it still a console that connects to the cloud? And as you're alluding to, like, I think that is what matters. And I think they need to be able to, we've talked about this with Game Pass, like you need to be able to accidentally have people sign up and just fall back into having an Xbox in your house. Like that's kind of where they stand right now. If they're not going to have the game that everybody needs to have, which is kind of unreal. Speaking of unreal, Like I think we just saw Fortnite had 100 million players
Yep.
last month, which is bonkers. And not that I want Xbox to have a game like Fortnite, but something that just like takes, that's what I'm getting at with Unreal, something that takes our breath away, that
Yep.
you can't believe this is a thing. And I know that that's a tall order. I know that that's something like, maybe I'm being an entitled gamer, but Sony and Nintendo both make games that do that. They make you go, holy crap, I need to have a Nintendo for this. And if you look at the Switch this year, they had many of those actually in a single year. And Sony does the same thing. And Starfield was an opportunity for that. Halo was an opportunity for that. I think Forza Horizon 5 is probably the best example of that. And unfortunately, just not everybody loves racing games.
Yeah.
You know?
Or I mean, the people that do really like racing games though are people that own Xboxes though at this point.
Right. They're already there.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I know. I'm just being a dink to Xbox tonight.
But yeah, there's a lot of like, but it's correct. I think it's good constructive criticism though, because I think you're right. Like they are missing that with comparing to the other.
Hellblade could be it. Hellblade, like there is potential here.
Yeah,
Hellblade could
exactly.
Be it.
But I mean, also it's also when you look at their studios that they've acquired as well, a lot of those studios are not going to be making console exclusive games. Like, you know, like all their games aren't going to be exclusive to Xbox or Activision.
It could go exclusive. I think that should happen.
They could, but I feel like it's not going to. In the same way, like Indiana Jones, I think will probably be exclusive. But beyond that, like whenever the next Doom comes out, I think that'll be on PlayStation still or Switch.
Well, again, it kind of depends on the model there too. So if it's like they want to go cross-play multiplayer stuff, then put it on everything for sure. I see what you mean.
Yeah, like I think the strategy for a lot of the games that they make first party wise is to have them cross-platform in a lot of ways, even if it's just cross-platform with PC. So yeah, it's a different it's a different animal, but you know what,
dude, I could see Quake evolve to something like a Destiny competitor. Actually, like I don't think that they can do Wolfenstein, Doom, and Quake all in the same, just make it new kind of thing. Like I think one of those is going to evolve into something a little bit different. And Quake already kind of did with Champions or Championships or whatever. And Quake 3 kind of started that path as well. So like some of these franchises, Warcraft is a great example of that. You know, it starts off in one place, and the way people know Warcraft is not how it started.
Exactly. Like I would be surprised if we ever got a real-time strategy Warcraft game ever again, which makes me sad because I would love that. In the same way, like I don't think if they ever go back to StarCraft, I don't think it'll be real-time strategy. It'll be something else.
I kind of hope it isn't real-time strategy. Actually, kind of want it to be. Give us. I mean, we say it all the time. Like, give us Ghosts, give us something. And that universe is crazy. That is such a great, like the lore. It's meant to be experienced, you know. And the fact that it's based in a real-time strategy, I guess, style or genre, keeps too many people out of it, unfortunately. And more people need to know what's going on in the StarCraft universe because it's great.
Dude, I wish I could somehow travel to the alternate reality where StarCraft Ghosts actually came out, because that game looked amazing. I can't believe that game never came out, because
let it have StarCraft. Let it at StarCraft. That'd be great.
Yeah. Or I don't know. I think like you could even have someone like Arcane do StarCraft and do like a StarCraft Ghost or something.
You know what? Kill Overwatch and let those guys do StarCraft.
No, we don't need a StarCraft hero shooter, Sean.
No, that's not what I mean. Just like that's definitely not what I mean. But just you have people who can make first person shooters, and you could kill off Overwatch. But don't sorry, I definitely don't mean to have that style of game.
Or like imagine, Sean, imagine if you had like a StarCraft game where you played as a Marine and it was like Metroid Prime in first person with like the helmet and all the little augmentations on it and stuff. Like, dude, that would be so cool.
You'd hang out with Doom Guy and Master Chief, just another Marine shooter.
Yeah. You know, speaking of which, Sean, a lot of people are talking about PlayStation All-Stars Battle Royale 2 this week. When is our Xbox fight like Smash Brothers clone coming? We need that, because I've been playing I played Killer Instinct as well this week. I forgot to mention.
Oh, nice one.
His Killer Instinct came back, and it's super fun. I actually like the new update a lot. But I'm also just like, man, we really like. I love the fact that General Ram and Arbiter are in this, but like, I almost wish we had like a Smash Brothers for Xbox now that we have the Activision IPs and like the Bethesda IPs and everyone else. Like, how cool would that be with all the different characters?
I'd want a shooter, actually. Like because Smash is Nintendo, that makes they own that, and you know, PlayStation did it and it didn't really work out. I'd want it to be like a shooter. I'd want it to just go around and you're playing as Master Chief and you kill Arbiter and you kill Doom Guy and you kill whoever else. Like that would be awesome. That'd be so fun.
And then you could have like joke characters, like like a Pinata from Viva Pinata as one of the characters, and totally little like flowers at enemies and stuff.
I don't know if I really buy into this idea, to be honest with you, but something. I don't want it to be a platform fighter.
Well, actually, I would almost rather it be like Marvel vs. Capcom or Dragon Ball Fighters. Like do something like that.
I'm just not that much into fighting game. I want to like play it. I'm not really into fighting games.
That's your first mistake, because fighting games are great, Sean. Fighting games are awesome.
I know they are. I'm just not very good at them.
But you're right. Like that's kind of like real-time strategy, because there's a lot of like people that also won't play fighting games in the same way that people won't play racing games or won't play real-time strategy games.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't know for another day, maybe.
But for that, friends, that is going to conclude this episode of the Xbox Drive. But before we go, Sean, plugs go.
Oh, I want to plug Game Pass. Like what the heck, man? Game Pass was absolutely nuts. We got Remnant 1 and 2. We got Far Cry 6, for God's sakes. Rise of the Tomb Raider, one of my favorite games of all time. Spirit North is awesome. People should definitely play that. SteamWorld Build, I'll be playing on PC for sure. World War Z Aftermath. I'm not even going through all of these. You got Goat Simulator 3, an absolutely ridiculous drop of Game Pass. So I wanted to plug that real quick, Ryan.
Yeah. Also, real quick, if people were interested in Chain Echoes, which is a really good role-playing game that came out last year, it's leaving Game Pass this month. So if you see it on sale and you're interested in picking it up, pick it up, because it's a really good role-playing game.
Other than that, Ryan, Sean Capri on Twitter, Sean like Connor, Capri like the pants. Same in Discord. Come hang out in Discord. And December 7th, hang out with us. Do a watch along. I promise you guys, like it's gonna be the best experience that you got. You can silence us all if you want to. You can turn us up. Like the Discord is gonna offer us a cool new experience for the Game Awards this year, my friend.
In fact, I'm probably gonna have interesting stories to talk about when we do that.
I have no idea what you're talking about, but that's
we'll talk about it off air when we've done the show.
Patrons should check out my episode of Sweet Hangs with Donnie Reese, 3 hours and 40 minutes. We described the perfect Mario game. People should definitely go check that out. We basically mixed in a PC gaming podcast with an Xbox podcast with a PlayStation podcast, and then we finished it off with a Nintendo podcast. It was a great time. Court Lalonde is on the Pants podcast this week, so lots of stuff happening at patreon.com/carpoolgaming, and I think that's it for me, my friend.
And my episode is next week for Pants, so get your questions in for me. The question post goes up on Monday.
Last chance for Extra Life donations. We're giving away the remainder prizes next week. Stay tuned, Ryan, for the stream. We're gonna host a stream, give away the remaining prizes, and tomorrow I may be seeing Tony Baker and dropping off his prize that he won, a stream cam, thanks to Miles of Amanda and the partnership with Logitech. So see you tomorrow, Tony Baker. There you go.
Well, as for me, Sean, before I go into my socials, I made a special appearance on another show this week that I wanted to plug real quick. I was on Mr. Midas's channel talking about role-playing games. We actually recorded that episode the night after we did Xbox Drive 300. So my voice was something that day where I'm just
5-hour episode.
Yeah, the day after the 5-hour episode. And we actually mentioned it on the episode, which is just funny. But him and I talked about role-playing games. So you can check that out over at his YouTube channel, youtube.com/Mr. Midas Plays. But otherwise, you can find me on Twitter at Ryan Turford. You can also find us on Twitter at Carpool Gaming right here, youtube.com/Carpool Gaming. And of course, podcast services around the globe. So for Sean Capri, I'm Ryan Turford. This has been episode 319 of the Xbox Drive, and we're out.
The way Ryan just said Sean Capri reminded me of how Bobby used to say Sean Capri. So we'll see you guys all next week with the Game Awards. And then the episode next week is going to be right after the Game Awards next week. So we're going to be having that perfectly timed. Goodbye, everybody.
No power greater than X.